Out in the ninth inning, here on the banks of the Mississippi River, the Red Sox need one more out, swinging a ground ball, stabbed by Folk. He has it. He underhands to first, and the Boston Red Sox are the world champions. For the first time in 86 years, the Red Sox have won baseball's world championship.
Swinging a high deep drive into right field. That one's stalled to the right. Hunter on the move, racing back. It's over his head. It's gone. It's into the bullpen. This game is tied. This game is tied. David Ortiz. David Ortiz. David Ortiz.
How the hell is everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, whenever you're watching Red Sox Country Radio. Welcoming back to the show is Mr. Sergeant Teamus Wooten. Sarge, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well, brother. Ready to talk some baseball.
That's right. We're talking Red Sox. We're talking AL East, and we'll get into the rest of the American League if time permits. Let's go ahead and get into the problems at hand. And I think number one with the bullet we have to discuss is this ridiculous injury bug that is going around the locker room. I mean, this is starting to get like the coronavirus.
Right. Another day, another injury, man. We are snake bit. And what's crazy is that we still are finding a way to win with like none of our starting pitching, which has been the bright point so far. I don't know how we're doing it. We're scratching to stay alive. 14-11. We're third place in the AL East. Did you think at this point we would be anywhere but the basement?
Yes. So, and it's great that they're doing that well, but the biggest problem that every fan has to realize is that this isn't sustainable. No. And the longer you keep these guys on the IL, not only is it going to wear down your bullpen, which is the obvious thing because you have to go into the bullpen earlier, and we all know that the bullpen's been a little suspect to say the least.
Right, and he has to use the bullpen for like starting. He has to have a bullpen game,
right? Every
series almost, not every series, but pretty close. And we're still in April. That ain't going to last.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the one thing that I hate about sport more than anything else. No matter whether you love a team, hate a team, whatever, I don't like injuries factoring in whether a team's good, not good, whatever. I like to see what the vision of the general manager, the coaching staff, et cetera, was going to be. Because when you prognosticate this at the beginning of the season, a lot of doomsayers were saying, well, the Red Sox having a shot. And yet, lo and behold, they got their neck above water heading towards the end of April, which is great considering the injuries. And I think you have to take somewhat into consideration. Yeah, it's been kind of a weak schedule, but that just means you're going to start facing the big boys, right? And hopefully these pitchers can come back and make. Now, the Cleveland series was a good litmus test, right?
Yeah.
And before that, Pittsburgh, this will be 7 games against Cleveland in about, what do we got here? About 10 days?
A little less, yeah.
Baltimore was a punch in the face.
Yeah, well, Baltimore's just let's call it like it is. They are an elite team. We're not. That's the polite way of saying it.
Sure. But the point being, the litmus test, there's been a lot of Oakland A's, a lot of Los Angeles Angels, and a lot of Pittsburgh Pirates sprinkled into this.
Right, but the Pittsburgh series, though, going into it, you were saying that they were doing well. And they were
doing well for the Pirates because the Pirates were playing above their head. But if you look at the numbers now and the dust starts to settle, they have one of the worst offenses in baseball. Terrific. So that's, it's one thing for a team to get hot for 7 to 10 days out the gate. It's another thing to know that this is going to be sustainable. And I'm not downplaying the wins by Boston by any means, but it does need to be measured by the fan base, because you turn me on to a couple of podcasts. I've been listening to them, and a few of them just never address the fact that, hey, look at who we've been playing. You know what I mean? And so I always look at that, because no matter who your fandom is, I'll give you a college football example. The jackass that comes out at the end of week 1 with the Georgia Tech hat on, pounding his chest and saying, dude, we are unstoppable. And you're like, dude, you played Georgia State, calm the hell down, and you won by field goal. So,
I agree with the analogy, except in my head, it's always Notre Dame.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, pretty much every fan base.
Right.
I'm probably the opposite of most college football fans, where I'm like, dude, what are you complaining about? And I'm like, dude, because they missed this play. We're doomed. You won 73-0. Calm down. No, it ought to be 76-0, because that mishandled snap at the end for the field goal. Yeah. So, but back to the world of baseball. The way I look at this is they've played really well, and it is imperative to get the wins against the bozos when you play them, because you don't want to play 500 ball against them, because when you face a buzzsaw like when Baltimore came into Fenway, when you face a really good franchise like Cleveland 7 times in 10 days, you're going to take your lumps. So what I was getting at is it's a positive that I hate, because it's an overused term, but handle their business, right? You know, they're handling their business, meaning they're winning the games they're supposed to win. That's a great sign. My biggest concern is because we all know pitching wins and pitching loses. What does this do to the pitching staff long term if they can't get some of these guys back? Let's start off with the first one. Let's talk about Tanner Houck. You were talking about him off air. Give us an idea of when we can expect him back.
They're saying August 5th. He took one right. I mean, it shattered his, what's it called? The something bone right here.
Eye bone. This is the technical term.
That's what I call it, but there's a
eye bone.
Yeah. And who knows what he's going to be like mentally? You know,
dude, I always worry about pitchers with that. That's the first thing I thought of when you get a comebacker like that.
Yeah, and you get, I mean, the ball drops straight down. That's a flush hit. You know, right. I mean,
it didn't ricochet. Right.
Had a bone. The only thing that caught it was a bone with some skin on it. You know, and I don't know. Mentally, he's a young kid. You know, if it was Nolan Ryan, I wouldn't think too much of it, but it ain't. And I don't know. We'll see. You know, time will tell. He may surprise us and just say, okay, this is part of baseball, let's move on. Or I don't think I could do that. I mean, I'd be scared to death.
You know, the one that surprised me, I think he actually got the injury when he was in Miami. But Giancarlo Stanton, when he got smacked in the eye bone, and was gone for a very long period of time, I thought that might ruin the guy's career.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a T situation.
And that's not what's ruined his career. What's ruined his career is he's a robot with like zero flexibility, and he pops a hamstring tying a shoe.
Yeah, he's made it.
That was my first concern, because at the time he just signed that big contract with the Marlins. I believe he was still with the Marlins. I might have that mixed up.
I'm almost 100% certain that that's when he was with Miami.
And you're sitting there, because the reason why I think that is that you're thinking, dude, this franchise just poured $325 million that they don't have into a guy who just broke his eye bone. And he may come out the other side going, done. I guarantee you, if that's the chronology, there was talks in that front office at that time go, we got to get rid of this guy because what if we didn't think about the fact $325 million is down the toilet because of an injury? So, by the way, have you
called and they're like, yes, please.
Right.
We'll pay cash. Yeah, you can have him.
By the way, speaking of like dead money, it is unbelievable that the Washington Nationals, who won a World Series in 2019, have so Steven Strasburg, since we last talked, I believe, officially announced his retirement.
Yeah.
We knew he wasn't playing ever again. And since the 2019 series where he won the World Series, he was the man. He's the reason why they won it. Don't get me wrong. But they have essentially about 320 dead money because of Strasburg's injury, and they signed that big contract to Patrick Corbin. Remember, everybody was chasing him. Even Boston was chasing him. I know the Yankees were chasing him because everyone was shocked when he went to Washington as opposed to New York. And he hasn't been worth a damn. He's got an ERA like around north of 7. And that's kind of low for considering what he normally does. It is unbelievable that fans still want to pour bukus of money into one pitcher every offseason. I'm starting to get on board with the idea of let him go. Let him go. We'll take the money. We'll put it into the bullpen and build youth through the minor leagues, sign some veterans, and see what we can accomplish.
Yeah, and the way the game is played now, that's the way. It's not like it was when you and I were teenagers, where the pitcher was the game.
Right.
You showed up on when Pedro was pitching, it was a completely different day in Boston. Right. It was like that with Lester and Beckett. Good Lord, I mean. He had a stretch. He was the best pitcher on the planet, And
the other night I was calling the Braves Marlins, and Max Fried won a complete game shutout, and the game lasted about 2 hours. And I was in shock. I didn't know how to respond to it because I don't remember the last time I called a complete game shutout from any pitcher, much less it go that quickly.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his name. Just did it the other day for Boston, and it was like less than 2 hours, complete game. Oh my God, I'm gonna go to hell. I can't remember his last name. It's right there. Stupid TBI. I can't remember anything.
Never break the golden rule of radio. Never ask a question you don't know the answer to. We move on. All right. Bayo recently goes on the IL for lat tightness. 15 days.
Cora's not worried. He said this is, they just want to let that heal so it's not a nagging injury throughout the season. He's not worried at all. I heard him on the radio this morning saying he'll be back in a couple of weeks. We're just giving him time to heal so he doesn't have to deal with it throughout the season. Just let it heal. It's not a nagging. I'm not worried about Bayo. Cora's not worried. When Cora starts to work, then I'm going to get concerned. But he's totally fine with this. So,
and Nick Pivetta through a bullpen session, and they said the next steps is live batting practice, and then they'll decide whether or not he's going to go on a rehab start. He lasts through, was it April 3rd? I would say he's going to have to go on a rehab assignment. I can't imagine he's going to come right back.
Yeah. Away, they'll just, unless
it's too early in the season to say, hey, he just took a couple of weeks off. Let's go.
Right. But what if we run the way we're getting injured? They may have to. He may be the only guy left,
Well, the concern when you do that, what if he can only go a couple of innings because he gets blown up? Then that just decimates your bullpen that day.
And
B, do you re-aggravate or cause a new injury because you're trying to force it? I think it's always smart to let a guy go on a rehab assignment. I want him at the point where he goes, can I just go up there and pitch now? I want him with that idea because when you do that, you can make a corresponding move right before you bring Pivetta up, bring up a guy, let him pitch a few innings, whether he's ready to go 5 or 6 is one thing, but let's say he's just going to eat some innings, an opener, that kind of thing, a swing man, whatever. And then you can put him right back down. And if Pivetta's coming right back up, it doesn't matter that you can't touch him for 10 days. It's fine, right? So that's normally how I would play it out as a GM. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I would think if nothing else, still get him back first-ish week in May.
Yeah, and you just got to hope that, I mean, he was pitching pretty well, right? I mean, and
yeah, he'd only had a couple of appearances, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard, and because right now we're desperate for pitchers because everybody's injured, but it is a long season. It is important. First, you got to take care of the player. And so, let him do the natural process. It's going to take longer, but he'll be back in the lineup. And if he's,
trust the process crap.
You have to. We're going full throttle, baby.
Trust the process. If that's the answer, I'll eat my hat.
Yeah. We're going full throttle. But yeah, I'm hoping. And
it's such a long season. You can't, if you rush a guy back for that one game that you're worried about, you could cost him like another month. So I say let him go do a rehab assignment, because when you're talking about live bullpen and then batting practice, that's really nothing, because you're just talking about stretching your arm back out, because he's not out there throwing cutters or anything on batting practice.
No.
These guys are using batting practice. That term is literally batting practice, means let me hit the damn thing. Don't be out here making me look like a fool.
I don't want to strike out in batting practice.
Yeah. I'm not trying to, get my cuts in and you're over here practicing on an ephus pitch. Just let me do me. So I just, I think that the idea would be he could be back. I'm guesstimating this, but we'll say somewhere just past Cinco de Mayo, right?
Yeah. That sounds about right.
And looking at the rest of the story, what was the next one I have on my docket? Whitlock.
Yeah.
The oblique injury. That's a little concerning, because I know in theory he could be back beginning of May. Man, those obliques for pitchers, they're normally several weeks.
Yeah, because do you like, when we were growing up and watching baseball, did you ever hear of this injury? I never heard,
Well, the guys that played in the 80s and 90s didn't have obliques.
Right. I guess not. Because like Mike Scott with Houston, I never heard, or,
as good as Pedro Martinez was, he didn't have obliques.
Yeah.
He could even he had a little bit of a belly,
but that's one of those, it takes forever to heal. It's nagging, and it's so easy to re-injure.
I believe these injuries were probably a thing, just nobody took time off for them. So
yeah, they tried to push through or whatever.
The lifestyle in the minor leagues is much better in 2024 than what it was in 1987. So if you could stay the hell out of the minor leagues and go on rehab assignment, you would do it. You didn't want to go bounce around an old rickety ass bus, staying at the Roach Motel. And not to mention the fact, let's just be honest, it was a different generation. We all know Gen X is tougher than the current generation. Well, the generation before us, which is who we're talking about, or I don't know if it's a full generation, but they're definitely a stage in front of Gen X. Those dudes were tougher than us, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You were always taught that if it didn't stop you from literally going out there and playing whatever sport, that it wasn't really an injury. You were just playing hurt. And I think that's why then again, these careers, a lot of them didn't last very long because maybe they were fighting through pain. And anytime you have something like an oblique and you ask a pitcher to go out there and fight through an oblique injury, the first thing he's going to start doing is, because it's hurting, he's not going to go through his mechanics properly. And then what's he going to do? He's going to blow his elbow out. He's going to have, his rotator cut. Something's going to go down.
Plus he's throwing meatballs because he can't,
and they're all being told to throw 108 miles an hour. Right. So it's like, I saw a quote from Maddox the other day, and he's got a million of these quotes, but it's always relevant, where he said that when I got in trouble and I got behind the count, I never thought to myself, throw harder. I thought to myself, pitch better. And so, his idea, now we all know he was special, but the idea behind it was be more worried about your location and what you're pitching and where you're pitching and why you're doing it, as opposed to just loading back and blowing someone away. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
he didn't blow anybody away. He just made everybody look foolish.
Well, although I think everyone thought he had like an 82-mile-an-hour fastball, the dude still threw in the low 90s. And the problem was the problem with him, for the generation that doesn't remember him, he could hit a fly on the wall with the changeup. Mm-hmm. And that's what the problem was when you're standing there at the plate. You go, I don't know, what the hell is this guy doing? And he could just place it wherever he wanted. And his idea always was, one of his money pitches was the changeup, was if he's facing a right-handed batter and he thinks the guy's being over-aggressive, he's going to throw that changeup so you'll roll over it. And when the guy gets used to seeing it out in front, you throw it inside and you talk about something that's hard to lay off of, but impossible to hit, is a changeup, or today they normally use the sinker or two-seamer that goes right underneath your hands, especially a righty-righty situation, because you don't pick it up to the last second. And by the time you're swinging, it's too late, and it's a comebacker to the mound.
Or it's foul. You broke that, usually.
I think I've told this story before, but I've always remembered him saying, they asked him one time, have you ever dreamed of throwing a perfect game? He said, well, absolutely. And the follow-up question was, so what if you could do something like 27 strikeouts? He said, no. What if you could do something like 27 ground balls, first pitch to the first baseman? I don't have to move at all. That's called playing 3D chess when the rest of them are playing checkers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was anybody in the new generation that wants to see a surgeon on the mound. YouTube, this guy. He's the best we'll ever see. And he didn't go
best regular season pitcher I've ever seen.
Yeah, he didn't go out there,
pitcher,
blow you away. And he looked like a school bus driver. He wasn't all, but boy, could he pitch. Woo.
Postseason, he was good. He wasn't great. Regular season, best. I get that question all the time. And who postseason? Give me Smoltz.
Oh, yeah.
Regular season, give me Maddux. Best of both worlds, give me Glavine.
Yeah, that was a pretty good run.
Yeah, but enough of down memory lane. So I'm thinking Whitlock. I hate to say it, but best case scenario would be
mid-May.
I'm thinking more Memorial Day, past Memorial Day weekend. So going towards June. Because normally these I went through like the last 15 typical oblique strains. It's usually around 6 weeks. Because it's 4 weeks of nothing and then 2 weeks of ramping back up. And he's definitely going to have a
rehab assignment for sure.
Yeah.
And now that we've gone through the pitchers, let's talk about the rest of those injuries. Casas, broken rib. And you know how long it takes a broken rib to heal, and you can't do anything for it. You can't put it
it's
in.
It's not 10 days. For those who see him on the 10-day IL, I can tell you right now, it ain't 10 days.
No, it ain't 10 days.
10 days to get out of bed with a broken rib.
Yeah, I've broken a couple. but it only hurts when you breathe. So you have that going for you. And now, so they've pulled in, like you predicted, Rafaela is playing shortstop now. I don't love it, but what's Core going to do? Rob
now,
right now.
I don't want this to be doom and gloom. The good news is Vaughn Grissom is coming very close to jumping back onto the big team. And they've had him. Anybody who reads these reports, I read one the other night. It's wildly wrong. I think it was Yahoo. I don't remember who, but it was the beat writer for Boston. He said he was trying out second base. That's not right. That's his position. Vaughn Grissom came up through the entire minor league system with Atlanta as a second baseman. What got him in trouble was they tried to shoehorn him in over to short because they had Ozzie Albies. So you can imagine the desire to go, man, if you can have Grissom stick and Vaughn and Ozzie, da. But he kept booting the ball. He was terrible over at short. So that's how Orlando Arce ended up where he is, and Vaughn Grissom ended up where he's at. Vaughn Grissom is a fine second baseman. Is he Gold Glove? Probably not, but I never saw him screw up because the year before they attempted this, Ozzie Albies went on the injured list for several weeks. I want to say it was 2.5 months. And the starting everyday second baseman was Vaughn Grissom. And he was very good. I don't ever recall any of the fan base, for folks who don't follow the Braves side of this channel. I do play-by-play of the Atlanta Braves on this channel. And so we have a lot of fans that, chime in every night. I don't ever remember one fan complaining about his defense. So he's going to be fine at second. They just got to figure out short, like you said, probably Rafaela.
It is right now.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is that they're going to be fine. And you want Rafaela's stick in there. His you want when Vaughn Grissom gets up and gets going, he's got a perfect swing for that green monster. He's going to ricochet. His first game in his history of playing Major League Baseball, he hit a bomb over the green monster.
Yeah, it was at Fenway. I saw it. Yeah, I was like, well, that kid's got potential.
He's got potential. He's also got what I call Madison Avenue, too. He's got that $1 million smile. Great personality. The fans are going to love him. I can't wait till he comes up.
I have some news that's going to make your head explode. Soon as I read this, I was like, oh, I can't wait. So I intentionally didn't mention this in the pre-show or anything.
Right.
There is several rumors going around that at the trade deadline, the Sox are in talks with Philly to trade O'Neill.
I saw that. I got to see it to believe it.
They need to get quite a bit.
My question would be this, according to who?
Right.
Some clickbait bozo. Why would the Red Sox, who are currently above 500, be entertaining any thought of any trade to anybody? That was driven. The first article that was dropped by that was driven by a Philadelphia clickbait rag. So they're going, man, what if we can? I see it all the time for all teams. Well, what if we could add so-and-so? Hell, the day after, Garrett Crochet threw an absolute gem against the Atlanta Braves. The morning after. This guy's a rookie, by the way. So he's got 6 years of control. What did I see up and down on Braves beat writers and stuff? I mean, it wasn't their actual beat writers. It was the clickbait stuff. Garrett Crochet could be the next trade target for the Atlanta Braves. What year, dude? Why would Chicago trade Garrett Crochet to anybody? Get your head out of your ass. They did the same thing when one of the guys that hosts one of the Braves shows on YouTube, I saw him tweeting out, I've got a guy that the Braves need to go get, relief pitcher Mason Miller for the Oakland A's. because he's phenomenal. He's a damn rookie too. And I'm like, what?
You're right. You know, I like him.
He has to be back. He goes, well, they got Olsen, they got Murphy, and I didn't want to get in the whole thing on him because they were about to be free agents. There's a big difference between trading for a guy because you know you're going to lose him and going, well, I don't feel like being employed anymore. Let me trade one of my best players. Now, the O'Neal thing I get because he's going to be a free agent. But this is someone scurrying around, digging up stuff. You know, this was a Philadelphia writer that came up with a list of who's going to be available at the trade deadline via their current contract. And Tyler O'Neal's off to a hot start, so that's what they're going at.
I hope you're right. I did hear that to replace Costas, because right now it's Dahlback and but CJ Cron from the Colorado Rockies, I don't know a thing about this guy. But
you know, Bobby Dahlback is because they kind of favor each other. He's like the wish list version of or Timu. He's the Timu version of Dahlback. I mean, of Cassis. Every time I see him, I go, you look so much like him. You could be brothers, but you're definitely like the slow one.
Yeah.
You're definitely the one that didn't quite make the marks in school.
Right. But do you know anything about that CJ Cron character? I heard he can hit, but
well, he's a guy that his entire career. So in his prime, he was actually pretty good. And so he's signed for what? So he's 34.
Oof.
Signed a minor league deal with the Red Sox. Have they already called him up?
No.
Okay.
Not okay.
What I would like to know is, see, let's go backwards at first and see what his so his, because they're not going to have CJ Cron is a guy that had power. And I remember him playing. He played out west a lot, but he was a power hitter, and he was a guy that kind of, you know, he reminds me of like a poor man's version of. Do you remember Matt Stairs?
Yeah,
kind of like that, where you're like he's there for the bat, but he's kind of a specialist in the fact that you're probably going to platoon him.
Mm-hmm.
And
can he play first base?
He has, because I can remember him from fantasy baseball being available at first base. Now, I don't remember how good he was defensively, but you only get that designation if you've played it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But CJ Cron, to me, is a guy that he's not an answer long term, but if you could get him right, let me put it this way: if you could get him at his best and get him hot until Cassis comes back, or if Cassis is gone for a long period of time until you make a trade, you're talking about a guy that, honest engine, he probably can hit in nowadays somewhere around the 225 mark. His OPS is going to be a little over 700, and he can probably walk into one once a week, right?
Yeah.
So you're talking about a guy who's probably, if he got 162 at bats in Fenway Park, his ceiling nowadays at age 34 is probably about 20 home runs. But
he's definitely going to be a finger in the dam scenario for sure.
So last year, I'm looking at his numbers. How many games did he play? He played 258 with Los Angeles and Colorado, and he actually hit higher than I thought he did. He had 248. I was right about the OPS 729. And how many home runs did he have last year? He had 12 home runs last year, but that was with 258 at bats. So I was pretty close.
And that's
a full season would be about 24 home runs. Now, you got to take a few of those away because one of the teams was Colorado.
Right. Yeah.
And how many of his home runs were in Colorado? That'll be the kicker in this one. 11. Yeah. 11 of his 12 home runs were in Colorado. And the one that he did for the Angels, they were probably visiting Colorado. But yeah, he's not a stopgap, but well, I think he's putting a finger in the dam, but not for very long.
Right.
But he's about to be. Wait a minute, is this right? Yeah, he's about to be. Or no, he just turned 34. He's not a source of stolen bases anymore. At one point, he had okay wheels. Typically, what he played in his prime was corner outfield. So we've probably spent way too much time on CJ Cron.
Yeah.
We probably talked more about CJ Cron than anybody has in the last 5 years. But there you go.
I'm sure he's grateful.
Yeah. Dahlbeck is.
I can't. It's too soon. I will say this.
Cron's a left-hander, though, so you could platoon him.
I will say
now,
this.
Are they talking about just getting rid of Dahlbeck and bringing in Cron, or what's the deal?
Nah, I think they're going to send him back to Worcester, and he kills it down there. he can hit down there. He just can't in the majors, and that's not a slight on him. So few people can, but if you are on a major league team, we need you to run into one every now and again. And he went 0 for 19.
From what I remember of him, he was back to the Cron thing. He was a pull hitter. So when they visit places like Yankee Stadium, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
He's probably a guy that you platoon at best, and he may just be an end of the bench guy. But he at least gives you an option toward the end of the game to put a left-handed bat in.
Yeah.
I would think he could still play outfield, so you could deploy that in multiple ways.
Give a guy a day off, sort of thing.
But Tyler O'Neill, to me, if let's say the Red Sox fall off the edge, Philly doesn't have a great farm system. If I'm Boston, I'm shopping him. I don't give a damn what your team's favorite thing is. What you want to win. PhillyFanatic.org or whatever the hell you're writing for. I'm going to shop Tyler O'Neill to the highest bidder.
Yeah, because you can get, and what I'm hoping is they get bullpen help. Get 2 or 3 people for him. And, maybe, they're not going to all be stars, but I
will say this. If you're not going to re-sign O'Neill, you definitely should trade him, assuming you're not in the hunt. If you're in the hunt, you're stupid to trade him.
Yep, keep him.
But
he's raking. Tyler
O'Neill is also a candidate that you could think about trade high.
Yeah,
to trade him at his apex before he starts coming down. So that could be another thought process in it.
Well, the guys that the reason we're 14-11, I wanted to cover this because this is a positive for the Red Sox, and those are few and far between this season. Like, other players are stepping up. Wong had a big game yesterday, and he hit 2 out. Connor Wong hit 2 out in the game.
What about Chase Anderson coming out of nowhere?
Right. Or Abreu's doing well.
I had to double check. I was like, is that the same Chase Anderson? I mean, damn.
Yeah.
He had a pretty good outing the other day.
And we got, Valdez is playing second. But Abreu, Wong, these guys are stepping up when they're supposed to and when we need them to. And that says a lot for those guys, because sometimes you can tell the most about someone when they're failing,
I'm assuming Chase is being used as well, like an opener, like a swing man or something, because he's not getting a lot of innings, but the innings that he has thrown, he's got a 2.77 ERA.
Right. And
most importantly, and this is the one that I always go to, 0.85 whip, which means he's keeping ducks off the pond.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember his strikeout rate.
He was never a big strikeout guy. Let me see.
It's not really his niche.
He's got 8 in 13 innings. So, but I mean, the name of the game is get the outs.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you get them.
The reason why I always go with whip, because they have all these new statistics that everybody falls in love with: barrel rate, expected batting average, all that crap. And I'm like, all right, expected this and expected that means you're living in a fantasy world. It means you're like, well, man, if no one was standing there to catch the ball, it would have been a double. But he hit it into the teeth of the defense, so it ain't. Whip takes walks plus hits dividing innings pitch. It's literally telling you how many guys are getting on base per 9 innings with the guy. And the lower whip that you have, I mean, 0.85, and granted, it's a small sample size. It's impressive. It's impressive because a 0.85 for folks who don't follow it, the standard of a solid pitcher, a good pitcher, is 1.15, meaning you're letting just about one base runner on per inning per 9 innings. 0.85 means you're not even getting that. You're getting less than one runner on per 9. And
that helps if somebody runs into one, it's not a crooked number, and those crooked are harder. That's the ones you want to try to avoid. Everybody's going to hang one every now and again. But if it's just one, you're still well in it.
Who's your biggest pleasant surprise so far? I can give you mine. I don't know if he's a surprise, but I think he's playing above expectations. Dude, I talked about him last show. Cutter Crawford, man. That guy's special.
Yeah. I would have to say
he's got 27 in a third innings and a 0.66 ERA.
Yeah, that's silly. That's silly.
Whip 0.99. And that's through 27 innings. That's not, it's a lot easier for a reliever to keep their whip down than a starting pitcher, because they're seeing you a second and third time through the lineup. So, you start running out of tricks. That's special.
I'm going to say Rafaela is I didn't know a lot about him, and this kid has got it. Whatever it is, he bathes in it. He is ridiculous. He's so fast, and
whatever it is, he needs to give Cam Boozer some.
Yeah.
That dude's getting slapped around.
Things off the bat, I haven't seen that since Andrew Jones or something, to be that young and that talented in center field.
It's crazy how young these kids are nowadays and coming up through the ranks. And this is an old guy talk. We never saw this before.
Right.
This is a revolution from I'd say the last 5 to 7 years. All your young stars are coming up much, much younger. And there's no longer the idea. I'm sorry, do what?
because they're starting so young now. They have.
Well, I think it's also the technology, being able to look at video and understand what you're seeing, as opposed to the way it used to be, where, first of all, if you had video during our day, it was grainy as hell. You didn't have access to updated video. You're watching older stuff. Generation before that, they had no video. You were literally relying off of what do you remember, right? As you went up to the, all these guys now, when you see them in the dugout, they got iPads in front of them. Not only are they looking at their previous at bat, they're also looking up what this guy likes to throw, where they like to throw it, and what have they thrown against me? Have I seen them before?
Right. And
or what does he throw against batters like me?
Right. And how hard. And there's something he does in his windup.
Like when Bobby Dahlbeck goes to the plate, he looks up and goes, how did he pitch against a donkey? Because I'm a damn donkey. So let me I'm gonna quit picking on him.
I will not.
Don't care.
So yeah, I'm gonna say Rafaela is the bright shining surprise. I mean, you told me all about him, but until you watch him play, it's he's a highlight reel out there.
Well, I can't take all the credit. Scott White from CBS, that does a lot of fantasy sports, he's the one that like brought him to my attention. After I heard about that, I started paying attention. Damn.
Yeah, he's special. He's a special kid. We need to lock him down very soon.
What are we doing with Yoshida? I mean, this guy was supposed to be this great batter, and what is he hitting now? 250. His OPS is barely over 7. For folks who don't follow OPS, if you're going to be considered having a good year, solid year, above average year, I guess I should say 800 is the mark. 700 is Bobo land, like especially low 700s, mid 7s, high 7s. Okay. But this guy, man, first of all, he can't play defense, and he's not putting up the numbers I thought he was going to put up in Fenway.
He's a disappointment. I'm not. It just, when he looks lost at the plate. I don't know. There's something about him that it looks like he's thinking too much in the batter's box. He's trying, I think things aren't going well, so you start to push, and that's when you get out of your normal routine, your normal mechanics. Maybe a week or two AAA wouldn't hurt him, just to get back on track, and then bring him back up. The pressure's off then, and then
maybe the feds need to start paying attention to him to make sure he didn't go to the Shohei Ohtani school of gambling. Did he bet against himself?
Oh,
is he taking a dive?
Man, that's harsh.
He did. He's 72 at bats into the season, and he's got 2 home runs, which, okay, the season's still young. But my biggest concern with him is a 375 slug.
Yeah,
from a guy that came over because of his bat. You can't put him anywhere defensively without cringing. So you need him to go out there. That dude needs to be pounding 300. His OPS needs to be up near 8. I know he's not going to go out and hit 50 bombs. I get that. But his slug has got to be much higher than 375. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, because
45 last year. How many home runs he finished with? 15. His OPS last year was 783, which isn't bad. It's not where you would want it, but it's not bad.
With those averages, correct me if I'm wrong, is it just a lot of swing misses? Is he not seeing the ball? Is it, is he like I said, maybe he's in his own head. I don't know. I just know he looks like he's drowning and someone threw him a bowling ball every time he gets in the batter's box.
Well, that's the big concern when you sign someone who's coming from another league is what are they going to do when they get over here? And I think a lot of people, because of Ichiro, thought that everything's going to translate. Okay, Ichiro was not human. Okay,
no, let's get
that straight. I never saw a guy that could just basically flick his wrist. You're like, well, that he's getting on somehow. It's either going to be a high chopper over to third. He's got too much speed, so he's blasting down the line, or he's flicking it out into center field, or if he gets around on it, that thing's going to leave the stadium.
Right. And
but not everyone's Ichiro.
Yeah. Nobody's Ichiro.
Right.
I mean,
but I'm just telling you that was the comparisons that I heard when he first came over. Is it not that he was going to be Ichiro, but that he had Ichiro like in his game again? Look here, you racist bastards! Not everybody is going to be out. God dog it. That'd be like saying Dan Vogelbach is going to be the next Babe Ruth. Just because he's a fat white dude doesn't mean he's going to slam balls over the roof, man.
Boy, if that's all it took, right? Sign me up.
Yeah. God bless.
But you said he's had 72 at bats. I don't really start looking at that until you hit 100 at bats in the majors.
That's a week from now.
I don't know. I mean, I have faith. I think he's going to come around. I think he's just lost, right? You know, but
all I know is that when you don't play the field much and when you do, you're bad at it, you better be hitting.
Yeah.
And for what they paid for him, that as cheap as they've been recently, for what they paid for him, they expect him to hit well. I think what they envisioned when they signed him is that 1-2 punch of him in Devers, right?
Yeah, but you can't really put him in front of Devers right now. I mean, he ain't scaring anybody at the plate.
But he's still Devers, man. I'm talking
about Shea.
Yeah. Yoshida?
Devers scares every pitcher.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I don't even care if Devers goes in a slump. I ain't worried about it. He'll figure it out.
Yeah, and usually when it counts, he's a hitter. That guy is a natural power hitter and fun to watch. But O'Shea's not scaring him.
What's he hitting nowadays? 231 with an 840. So this is my point. So an old school head would look at Devers batting 231 and go, that sucks. But his OPS is 846. That means when he is getting a hold of the ball, he's driving it, right? He's got 3 home runs, but that just tells you he's getting a lot of damn extra base hits.
And he hasn't played as many games, you know. He's only have to.
But I'm going off a percentage. I'm not talking about.
We are expecting
number of hits and whatnot. Batting 231 with an 846 OPS, that'll play. Would you like his batting average to be a little higher? Sure. But your OPS, when he starts really clicking his OPS, you're going to see his OPS get up near 1,000. Now, you have to be absolutely on it to be hitting 1,000 OPS. But the guys having the really great years are going to be up over 900. And you're going to see Devers get there. I'm not worried. Devers in his prime, too.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Devers.
He's 27.
Defense.
Right? He turns 28 this year. This is the next 3-4 years. This is his prime.
Yeah, he needs. He's got to work on his defense, though. I mean, every time it's hitting that direction, we're just like, oh God, what's going to happen here? Sometimes he looks amazing. Sometimes he's like Wade Boggs over there, and then sometimes he's like me over there. And I mean, he's played long enough now. This shouldn't be And a lot of Red Sox get when Wade Boggs came up, he led the league in errors over there, but he righted the ship. I hate him, but good is still good. And he was terrible at third base, but he hit, and he hit a lot. Then he corrected it and played well over there. Then he was a vacuum. That hasn't happened with Rafi, and I don't know, man. He's been in the league a long time now, long enough that you should be able to make major league plays.
I mean, my biggest concern with Yoshida, as I'm looking at his box score recently, is that, okay, on what is going on with this guy? He doesn't look like, it looks like this year, this week, he hasn't gotten consistent at bats. He didn't play yesterday, and the day before he came off to pinch hit for Reyes.
I don't think he hit though, did he? I don't remember him getting.
I guess what my question is there some injury that I'm not aware of? I'm checking it right now, but
yeah, Laura talked about him and said, you know, he's going to get back in the lineup and everything, but I don't know if that's Cora protecting his players, but
knee issue.
Yeah, he's got to figure it out.
Wait a minute, no. Yes, knee issue. So, I mean, I just wonder if that's got something to do with his inning. But I'm looking at his game log. I mean, I guess my question is, does he need to go on the IL? Because I go back, I'm going to rattle some of these off to you. Yesterday, he didn't play. Today, we're doing this on Thursday, April 25th. He's not in the lineup. Wasn't in the lineup on Tuesday. Wasn't in the lineup on Sunday. He got one pinch hit on Tuesday. Wasn't in the lineup twice last week. And then other than that, it looks like just normal rest. But for the past 8 days, he has not been in the lineup 6 times. So I guess my point being, does he need to go on the IL and get healthy and then bring him back?
I mean, everybody else is. I don't understand why he ain't.
What's the point of having him as an end of the bench guy? Let him get healthy.
Let him get healthy for what we're paying him. Absolutely. Just
because you need options, because the Cubs are coming to town. They're playing pretty good baseball.
Yeah. And
what is your walk-off? We got to jam out of here.
My walk-off is congratulations to Big Poppy. Had his second son this week. And so congratulations to the big man and to the mom and the little ones doing well. I wish them nothing but success. Congratulations, Pop.
All right. My walk-off is we're going to try to get one in next week. Red Sox radio. I'll have to get with Sarge on his availability, but we're going to try to do these a little more often. So other than that, we'll leave you with this as we fade out of here on Red Sox Country Radio. I guess I ought to hit the right button first.
Ninth, 5-1 Red Sox. Sale winds. He fires. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. It's over. The Red Sox have won the World Championship. And the Red Sox become the first team in the 21st century with 4 World Championships. Can you believe it?